Hey friends, it's Carla from Creative Love Affair, and I'm here today with the Emerald Creek blog and website. And this month, our challenge is to use leaves and fall colors in our projects. So I made an anniversary card for my husband, and I used fall colors and this beautiful mountain stamp, which is a new product from Emerald Creek. They have beautiful rubber cling stamps available in their shop, and this is a layering stamp. So you can see that I'm using some Distress Oxide ink, and I stamped the first layer on, and then I'm taking the second layer, and I've already used some StazOn ink and just a piece of acetate and stamped this image. Now I'm sure there are lots of ways to line these stamps up, but I just did it this way quickly. So I used a little bit of adhesive, stuck it on the back of my stamp platform, lined up the underneath stamp with it so that I could line it up exactly. And I'm using some Versamark embossing ink, and I just stamped onto right on top of that bottom layer. Now this is soft fallen snow that I'm using, and it's a beautiful sparkly white embossing powder, but you can still see through it, and it puffs up a bit. It has just really neat texture. You don't want to overheat it, so that's what I used as my top layer. Now I'm taking my card base and I'm adding some Distress Oxide inks, and I'm sponging and blending them to make the background. And I find that the Distress Oxide inks blend really easily and beautiful. So if you've had any trouble in the past with blending, I'm sure that you'll find the oxides really easy to blend. And I'm just using one of the sponge tools and the little sponges. So I used the old paper, which is one of the new Distress Oxide inks, and I really love the color of it. And then I used some darker green, mowed lawn I think that was, and then added a little bit of the tea dye around the edge to give a little tinges of brown. And I'm just misting with some water because the Distress Oxides react with water. So this is just plain white cardstock, a fairly thin cardstock. So I dabbed that up with a cloth, and then I dried it with my heat tool. Now I'm taking a second piece of paper and I'm making a background of fall colors and just sponging them all together and blending them. And this is going to be the base for my fall leaves. I have a little tool here, a powder tool, and I'm just rubbing that over, and that prevents the embossing powder from sticking to areas you don't want it to stick to. And I'm taking the Emerald Creek leaf. This is a maple leaf. It's one of the Emerald Creek stamps in the shop, and I'm just stamping it randomly using Versamark ink, and I'm stamping it over top of that background. So for the first 4 leaves, I used Glacier White, which is a really lovely fine white powder. And then for the other 4 leaves, I'm using Thanksgiving, which is a really beautiful glittery Thanksgiving color powder. So really nice for fall and all those Thanksgiving projects and fall projects. And after I got those embossed on there, I'm adding some Chalkboard Mist, which is a Tattered Angels spray. It's a semi-translucent glittery spray. And I added a little bit of ink around the edges of those mountains that I cut out. Now I'm adding a Mama Elephant stamp to the top left corner. I'm stamping with some Distress Oxide ink, and then I'm using some Versamark. Usually I put the Versamark on before and then the Distress Oxide ink, but I just forgot about it till after, so you can add it after. And I'm adding some of the Just Java embossing powder from Emerald Creek. It smells really amazing. It has a coffee smell while you are embossing as well as after. So then I decided I wanted to add that Thanksgiving color around the edge, so adding a sparkly orange color around the edge of my background piece of paper. And this is a great way to customize your paper, make your own glittery cardstock. This melts beautifully. It still has a little bit of texture, but it retains a lot of that glitter, and it has reds and oranges and even a little bit of green, I think, in there. So I just melted it around the edge, and because I'm layering my card base on top, I didn't need to do the whole thing. So it melts just beautifully. You can see it there, so shiny. And then I added my card base right on top, so it just gives a little hint of that sparkly fall color underneath the card base. I added my mountains, adding a bit of foam tape, and then this little guy is Monty the Raccoon. He's an Emerald Creek stamp, and I had stamped him in a previous video. I colored him with alcohol markers and then used 3 layers of that beautiful baked texture vintage beeswax embossing powder to give him a really glossy look. And then I'm adding my leaves that I fussy cut out and just around the page by gluing them on. I've grabbed one of these adorable little pine cones that are from the Emerald Creek shop. I'm adding a little bit of Versamark and then heating it with the charred gold embossing powder, which is flecks of black and gold, and it just gives it a little tiny bit more shine. So I'm adding a little hemp twine there, and then I grabbed a little bit of some gloss medium, and you can use collage medium, and I'm just gluing that pine cone down so it stays, and adding on some Spiegelmum scrap sequins. So there you can see everything is completed. I even added a leaf and some sequins inside and a stamp, and it's ready to give to my husband for our anniversary, which was early in September. So we have been married for 13 years, and it's been awesome. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope I've given you a few ideas for fall, and we'd love to see your project over on the Emerald Creek blog, and you have a chance to win an awesome prize. Have a great day, friends.